Hello, and it is our Cup Final instant reaction episode. We decided not just to wait till tomorrow night. We thought, let's just jump on and record it now. So, yeah, was gonna. I'm also going to barely edit this. So, as long as the guys don't say anything too controversial, there'll be no editing to this either. We'll just get it straight out there. But as you can see, Louis and Mitch are here. We've been talking for the good part of half an hour on what the game was like and whatnot. And if we recorded some of that, I'm sure half of us would have been in trouble by now. So I'm glad we didn't. So, a spectacular day of basketball in British basketball. The Cup finals were, as usual, Mitch always says there's one good one and one not so good one. But guys, how are we both?
I'm taking a breath after the men's final. But I still stand by what I said. It still applies. It's still the same way, as much as disappointing to say.
Yeah, I'm heated. That's all I'm going to say. I'm heated.
You might be
Oh,
guessing
boy.
who was the one that could have got cancelled again. It's Louis. All right, so let's quickly go over the women's game. Mitch and I were going back and forth in the text about this game. Actually, we weren't going back and forth. We were in agreement from the start. Hatters ran out convincing winners, 90-71. Louis did tune in at one point and say, guys, how are you saying it's a 22-point game? Is my stream behind? Because it was like a 2-point game.
First quarter, yeah.
First quarter, we both, me and Mitch, were like, yeah, this is going to be a 20-point win for Hatters. And we were right, basically. And Mitch, it just felt like from the start, Manchester just didn't look comfortable. Sheffield just looked like a team that were used to winning.
Yeah, Sheffield have looked in control the entire game, and Manchester did have some fight at points. There was a few spells they had where they kind of pushed the gap then, but it was the same as the cup final. That third quarter, Sheffield came out swinging and just blew up.
But even in the first half, even go back to trophy final, kind of followed a similar recipe in terms of Sheffield would take a lead, the Gladiators would battle back. In this case, it was Manchester. I think at least 3 times in that first half, they got it back to within like a score game from being down by 10.
Yeah.
But we've spoke about it before. If you watch any of the ladies' games, you know how good in the women's game Georgia Gale is, and how good May Mullings is, but I always think it's the support cast in these big games. I say it all the time. And Jessie's for Yates was awesome, and they got a lot out of their whole squad. They go so deep, don't they, Mitch?
Yeah, I felt like every person stepped on the floor just contributed in a positive way, and everyone did their part. Manchester, on the other hand, it just felt like everything was just working that much harder for them, and you're going to get top team in the league who are potentially going to be going for the quad on the women's side, and they're just seemed dominant the whole way through the game.
Yeah, they were. You did see on Tiara East, she got 23 points in the end, and she tried to put the team on their back.
Yeah.
I forget the young British girl's name. Louis will tell me. Irene Oba.
I don't know how to say it. I'm not
I
gonna
know,
lie.
I'm so sorry. But
Sorry.
she had a brilliant game, 16 points in 23 minutes. And Manchester do a good job always of getting teams into foul trouble. And they certainly did that early on, where it was the big girl, tall girl for Manchester Bratka, and then it was East. Like, these girls ended up in 2-3 fouls really early on, and that's where Sheffield really take advantage, isn't it, Mitch?
Yeah, I mean, because they go so deep, any players that are against getting foul trouble, they can just run body after body at them and they just wear them down. And yeah, it was just, I'm saying it over and over again, but it was just a dominant game. Like it was good to watch, good to see how strong Sheffield are across the board and not really having one super dominant player. But at the same time, it just felt like one person steps off the court and the next person's going to cause the same bother, if not more. And it's wild. It's just wild.
And when you look forward, they are top of the championship table. They're top of the championship table. Gladiators are close behind them, but it's really hard to see where any defeat kind of comes for them. And they've been quite open. You heard them saying it in the post game, both Vanessa Ellis and Georgia Gale saying, like, yeah, we want to sweep, and there's no reason why they can't.
Definitely not. I mean, that's what I'm just looking at the stats there of curiosity for the team. 52% from the 3-point line. That in itself is just massively impressive. To be able to do that in any game is impressive. But in a final, like it's going to if they're going to lose games, it's going to be because they're making mistakes and they have a bad day. It's not
Yeah.
going to be because a team's going to be that much closer. Closest team would be Gladiators to maybe give them the best shot possible, but we'll have to wait and see.
Have to wait and see, but well done to the Hatters, convincing victory over Manchester. And let's get into the men's game. 83-74, a 9-point victory for the Lions. I'm looking to see what we said last week. Technically, Mitch is the closest. Mitch said Lions by 4. Louis wanted the Jackmani to win by 2, and I said Lions by 2. But when we look at the game as a whole, like, it's almost, where do we start with it? We look at how Manchester started, and you know what? Up till half time, you kind of thought Manchester were comfortable, didn't you, Louis?
Yeah, that obviously they held London to 11 points in the first quarter, which is mental. Just Manchester's size and just defensive energy that first quarter, or the first 2 quarters even. Kane Henry, one of his recovering the ball, one of his hustle plays was absolutely insane.
The Superman diving on the floor.
Superman dive on the floor for a guy that's literally been injured half the season. That was mental.
And his 2 minutes on, just reading off the stack, and his 2 minutes on the floor, his plus minus was a +5. But
yeah,
that's insane in
his
5
stat
minutes.
line +5. One Joel Scott ankle injury too. Who caused that? But then obviously Joel Scott came back on the floor.
And Kane didn't.
Yeah, and Kane didn't. So someone got worse off. But in terms of Manchester, look, the first quarter or the first 2 quarters, defensive game plan, perfect. You know, they mixed up a lot of zone. Jordan Johnson, we're going to have to talk a lot about him later as well, obviously, but he was just cooking.
But seeing that first half, London were worried. You could tell by their faces. You could tell by the body language. The kind of, I suppose, the youthful, inexperienced Manchester side were up for it. Everything was going their way. And you'd probably argue that halftime came at the wrong time. Like that kind of stereotype of who needed halftime more. It was definitely London, because London were rattled. Like, they did such a great job in that first quarter of forcing shots from London. Did they not go 10 minutes without scoring a field goal? Only time they scored was from the free throw line, and you go, wow, like that's absolutely insane. Mitch.
It's massively impressive. Louis touching on with the defense across the board. Like, that's doing what you did to London in any game. Impressive. London started, so you can see they're starting to figure it out at the end of the half.
Yeah.
But by that point, it's the best you can do is match the scoreline in the quarter and go into the second half being done. And yeah, all the momentum in that first half was entirely with Manchester. Played really good defensively. Offensively, they were boisterous. They were attacking. They were doing everything. There was a couple of this thing was what I mentioned. Dan said, like, London don't get beat in transition very often. And Manchester did it a couple of times in that first half to actually just beat them down the floor, get an easy bucket without really any defense set up.
Yeah, I was going to say, just got a lot of pick sixes, which is obviously turnovers into points.
Yeah.
In terms of players, like Joel Scott didn't really get into the game until after his injury. It's kind of funny. Yeah, just various things. And Manchester were also quite impactful on the offensive boards, if I remember correctly, in the first half. You know, with Matt Nicholson's size, they were doing really well. Obviously, with Zach Irvin also been out there. So, yeah, just adding that.
But when we look at that first half, obviously, Jordan Johnson, we know his scoreline, we'll say his scoreline for the game, I suppose, in 27 and a half, or just almost 28 minutes, 30 points. Did he have 2 assists, 2 rebounds? But is that maybe come back to haunt him? And
massively.
Let's talk about Manchester's. We'll focus on Manchester right now in terms of what happened in the game. Like, as I try and find the team stats, I think I put in our WhatsApp. I think it was during the third quarter when you looked at the assist. It was 17-6. The game ended 22-9. That means in that fourth, because that was the third quarter. That means that fourth quarter, Manchester only got 2 assists. Like and you know what? And that once it almost felt as if London had worked Manchester out. Manchester didn't really have anything else. Like Jordan Johnson started the game so well. Max Jones didn't have a great game, and we thought he would be the one that would have to have a great game. But once Manchester kind of got found out, they didn't really have anything else.
No, not at all. Obviously, London did a lot of switching that game. Manchester were primarily attacking in ISO on the switch. That's how you got highlights like, Jordan Johnson breaking over his ankles and stuff like that. But obviously, if you're just attacking in ISO, you're not creating better looks for other players. You're not creating easy looks at a set. You're just tagging in ISO, so it's not creating ball movement, etc. Max Jones, he didn't really show up, obviously, as we said. Like, again, it was a lot of stagnant play, Like, typically Manchester like to get him attacking on a lot of curls and a lot off of motion, but they didn't really get to that. This game, it didn't feel like, and but
and then when you look at it, and what backs that up is you look at the fact that between Nicholson and Irvin alone, they combined for like 15 rebounds.
Yeah.
They combined for 10 points. You go, okay, that's not awful, but both almost played 30 minutes. And like those 30 minutes, like go a long way of like, sorry, what were they doing when they offensive rebounded? They created second chance opportunities, but it really felt like Manchester had no other option. Like it was as if those guys caught rebounds and passed them out because they were that's what their game plan was. Like, does this maybe show the Manchester having to go to something else later on? They didn't have anything else. Like when you look at, like Matt Nicholson did really well under the basket that first half of getting offensive rebounds, but it was always as if the default was let's pass it out to Jones or Johnson or whoever it was. Was that a fair statement? Like there was no aggressive big man play to go and like, you know what, go put back layup or catch and shoot dunk. Like, do you know what I mean? Like there was no, I don't know. I felt like the big strategy was let's just get rebounds and let's just go with try and give it to the guards.
Yeah, I mean, it felt very much from my view anyway. The bigs were just there to try and facilitate. They were actually trying to take the load of any of the scoring for the game, and it meant as a result of that, as you just said, they're grabbing rebounds, they're passing someone else, and the ISO play only works to a certain extent. I do think the second half was a lot more stagnant than the first. I think they had a lot more movement, they had a lot more success in the first half. And the adjustments that London made basically forced them into basically one person juggling the ball for 20 seconds and the other person spacing the floor out. And occasionally it worked. Most of the time it struggled or was a high difficulty shot.
But both teams did try and show a bit of zone in this game, which London did initially switch and everything, which maybe played into players like Jordan Johnson's hands. But even Lions, Manchester did go into zone quite a bit. London did at some stages as well, just to kind of show a different view. Do you want to know what I do like? And I'm just going to put it in when we're talking about this. I like when London, they did it against Surrey, it was midweek as well, when they put McGusty in the middle of the zone to break it down. And you just got like such a great shooter of the mid-range that it kind of just nullifies the zone instantly. Like I think that's quite a clever tactic.
It's a more modern approach for it now because the tradition now is the center of your zone. You put a guy like McGusty in there, anyone that steps out to him, he's either beating them off the dribble or if they take a step away, it's a mid-range shot that he's comfortable taking. And if London have those tools, they can really fit that and make that adjustment quite easily with the squad that they have.
Yeah, and second half, like him and Trondy Brown, I feel like their shooting really kind of busted that zone.
I think what did Brown hit 2 corner 3, or I've got him definitely hitting at least 1 corner 3 in that spell in the second half. Might have been 2, might have been 3. which really kind of nullified any kind of zone presence from Manchester. If you're Manchester, before we touch on London, what do you take from this game? If you're Manchester, like where do you look to go from this? Because your first half was positive. It maybe wasn't the greatest of like team basketball, didn't maybe show much in terms of that. You had individuals step up, Louis. It's been a long day, has it, brother?
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
But you like where, like, Louis, you can answer this one first. Then where did Manchester go from here?
Look, defense. Like how much they petted London in the first half was, it was incredible to watch. Just flat out, they really struggled to contend with Manchester's just defensive presence,
Yeah,
and it shows that they can compete with them on a defensive basis.
And I suppose for Manchester, they've still got so much they can achieve this season. They obviously have battle for second seeds in the Championship. EMBL is still going on for them. So you hope this almost doesn't derail them. Don't you think, Mitchell?
It can derail them from what they're trying to achieve. I think this is a learning experience for what they'll need for the end game for EMBL if they want to do that and potentially for the playoffs. If your offense is very one-note, you're going to get found out against the better teams.
Yeah,
we saw that with London now. They go into, depending on seeding, how things work out, they may get them in the final, they may get them in the semis. If Manchester get matched up against London across two legs, I can guarantee anything strategy that they try that has success in the first leg won't work in the second, because London will make an adjustment. So you have to, for me, it's looking at, can you add different offensive layers in to take some of the, take the pressure off your ISO play, but also just get people moving off the ball. Like just focus on one player trying to beat 3 or 4 guys. It works on occasion, and Jordan Johnson had a great game. And I've got another observation about that I'd like to ask. I'm going to wait till after I finish this bit. But like you, as a total for the game, you hit 8 of 27 threes across the game. You hit that's less than 30% for the game. You can't be relying on taking the guy who was hot taking 10 3-point shots. The second 2 guys 5 and 6 each. Like you can't rely on 3-pointers to win the game against a team like London. You need to have versatility inside. So can you add in a wrinkle to give someone like a Zach Irvin or an Ossaboyan or a Nicholson a couple of scores inside just to draw some attention away from your guards?
Because it did feel like that initially when Ossaboyan came into the floor. He had a nice spin move early on, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
He can't finish.
No, he can't.
And he can't hit free throws, man.
But that nice spin move that he did finish, you go, okay, can we see more of that?
And then he ripped to lay up.
He did. You're right. The next play down, he did exactly that. You're right. You're right. He did brick it.
Like they don't. Okay, if we can contrast that game against Surrey and how they attack London's defense, with lots of slip screen. They have guys like obviously Isaiah Small and Graham, who as rollers, are a lot more dangerous than I would say like a guy like Nicholson. Like Nicholson's a little bit slower. So in terms of speed and actually getting, in position to actually finish, it's a little bit more difficult. And then obviously Ossaboyan's not a good finisher around the rim. So that's not something you can really run.
Yeah.
And because London are so, with the way that they defend, it makes it very difficult for guards. So it's that obviously Manchester won last time. So
let's jump across. Let's talk. So let's finish it off this point. Manchester, I almost feel like their inexperience, whether it's individual inexperience, as a club inexperience. Obviously, they spoke about that quite a bit on the broadcast about it being their second year as a club. Coach's first season in Manchester, couple of players being rookie pros. I feel like they've got more to learn throughout the season. Like I touched on it a second ago. Like my worry for them is this could derail them because you see the reactions at the end, you see that almost kind of behaviour, and you go, we've talked about it throughout this season. Like Manchester 1 month will be talking up hugely. The next month for like, what the hell's going on? Like when we look at their season, it's very much that jagged line of up and down, and you just go, this has a massive impact on what they could do. Like we're into March, the end of season's in 2 months' time. Like they've dropped games to the bloody Gladiators, for example. Like, and only the Riders is on that because they're missing half their team.
Yeah.
Like when you look at that kind of summary, you go, what Manchester are you going to get? Like that's a big thing, and that's what happens when you've got inexperienced players. Mitchell.
I think for me, I think the first sign of concern I would have before we even get to that, one, your hottest player on the court is coming off the bench in the second half. Doesn't matter like what your starting rotation is. If you've got a guy who's dropped basically 20 points in the first half, get him on to start the third. And
He does not come in the game 5 minutes in the third quarter. That was madness.
But on the back of that, they're talking about that on the broadcast. Go on the camera and you see a close up specifically of Jordan Johnson on the bench and his body language when he's doing that. My first question I'm asking is, what the hell's happened at halftime? Because his whole attitude is entirely like negative and not what you would expect for someone to just drop 19 and a half. Like, so something's been said at halftime of that game, and he's lost some engagement and connection with his team in that time.
Yeah.
That's in itself is a starting point to potentially get that ball rolling to start having some chaos. We saw the style of play change in the second half. You saw much more reliance on that ISO matchup in the second half than the first. They're making more mistakes. They're making silly decisions. And for any reason why that's happened, we've seen that pattern before for Manchester. For me, that's the starting point of this. They need to nip that in the bud soon, or this could massively have an impact in the next few weeks.
Let's wait and see. Okay, let's talk about our victors, the Lions. And you've got, then we're saying about Manchester falling apart second half, but we've then got to turn around and compliment London and what they did second half in terms of McGusty got scoring. We'll talk about what McGusty did later on. But in terms of that, you saw what Lions just seemed to move the ball a little bit better. They seem to come out the confident side compared to Manchester. Lee, thoughts?
Like Joel Scott came back and just sparked a run, practically speaking. You know, he looked like Joel Scott of the first half of the year, where he put he scored at the rim a lot. You know, he sparked a lot of like offensive rebounding because second half Lions dominated on the boards, which was a massive thing. Which also makes redundant, having guys like Zach Irvin and Matt Nicholson. If they're not on the floor, or if they're on the floor and you're not winning the rebound battle, how much are they actually adding? Because then you don't have, because you're giving up, obviously, like outside shooting with Zach Irvin at 4, for example. Plenty of other things as well. So that's one aspect. Charlie Brown, started knocking his threes down. There's one possession where, effectively speaking, there was Boyan down as the low man. He had to come out and help. Come out and rotate out to Charlie Brown. He didn't. Charlie Brown wide open, splash. And that happened a couple of times. Lions just turned up a notch.
It's also the case when you look at even down that last 100 seconds or so of the game, like that Joel Scott chased down, I can't remember who took the 3-pointer for, was it Adi Takasi in the corner when Joel Scott blocked him over the bench? Like, that's just huge plays. Like, that's why Joel Scott is one of the best players in the league. Or if not the best. Like, he is coming back into form. Like considering he was down, looked quite sore, getting his ankle restrapped. Like, he looked like he was in some discomfort there, and then came back and had a brilliant game. Dean Williams is a player who I arguably think has been London's main man because Joe Scott's been injured this season. Or when you think about he's been ever present compared to, say, a Shavar's been injured, Cam McGusty's been injured, Joe Scott's been injured. Like, it's been Dean Williams who's been like there. I think they said that he came off the bench, the fourth man off the bench in this game, which blows my mind. But he's got 11.7 rebounds and a couple of blocks. Like, it's players like that who are experienced playing across Europe, BCL and whatnot, that I suppose for London, and okay, they've got about 84 players that they could choose from. 16 or so, but 15 now actually, because Jonathan Williams left. I haven't been anything with Jordan Williams. I don't know. How many Williams have they got? Did they have had 3 this season? 4? But anyway, just digress. But like, you look at someone like a Dean, a Joe, like they maybe don't have that player who Ethan Price is probably the closest to that size at Manchester. Because Manchester tried like Zach Irvin at 3 with Gabe and Matt Nicholson on the court at one point.
No, they played a lot of dual big with Duke Shelton as well.
Yeah,
Duke Shelton and Gabe.
So I think London actually did a good job of working that out and coming out second half, and Tariq looked more focused. I always think if Tariq has like one of those games, and he certainly did have that kind of game in this game, 12 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Like, he was quite instrumental. McGusty, though, second half was incredible, 21 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists. Like, he's someone that I think in the preseason, Louis, you expect. Well, what did we call because he came from Poland? Was he the Polish? He came from Poland, didn't he?
Yeah.
What was the Polish person's fan member? What was her name?
Oh, I can't remember, but she loved him.
She loved Cam McGusty.
She would have loved this game.
She would have loved this game.
She would have loved this game.
Yeah, talk to us about Cam McGusty a wee bit, Louis.
Obviously, as we've spoken before, just an absolutely electric scorer in Euro Cup. For some odd reason, he's not been that great in SLB. I have no idea why, but he's been excellent in Euro Cup. But obviously coming off a long layoff of injury, but second half, he hits threes. He's not actually known as that great a catch and shoot guy, but he started hitting his threes, obviously he's a mid-range king, and with Matt Nicholson on the floor, that's your counter, because obviously he plays very deep, defending the bigger role. So obviously the counter to that is mid-range. He obviously scored a lot in mid-range, did his thing, got buckets, all was good.
But when you look at, is there a criticism of this? I mean, people like to jump on the back of criticism of London, and we'll get to the end thing and what happens and whatnot. Like, when you think of London this season, who's been ever present? It's been players like Adamu, who 0 minutes in this game, and that's one of the things where I'm like, I don't know. I just like, how can you not, a player like that not getting minutes in the final? Really annoys
or not
me.
Getting minutes at all for London is absolutely insane.
Yeah,
he's
like,
a GB international.
Like,
yeah. And like Surrey game, he didn't play that much either.
Like, it feels but then is that maybe where Sabonis should be giving some credit for going, you know what, I'm shortening my rotation as we get down to crunch time, and in finals he's playing as main guys. But then Adam would be a main guy on every other team.
I don't know, man. It's like, whatever. I don't care. I don't rate it, but
I know. Because when you look at that, like, I really like what London did down the stretch and how they closed out the game. They got to free throw line. I actually thought at one stage this game was going to just be free throw daft. Like, through the first half, I was like, we still had 51 free throws. I did say, will it be over under 50 odd free throws? Because there was some crazy amount of total fouls in that first half. And I suppose the referees then let it go a little bit looser in the second half. Which maybe is half the reason the end scene happened. But when we look at London and going forward, like, they've basically sewn up the championship. That's basically a done and dusted, isn't it? The playoffs, though, like, do you see them going the whole way? Like, everyone heard.
I mean, how can we not say no?
Chondy Brown obviously made
yes?
That comment, being like, that's a focus for them, and obviously, I think it was Aaron Wright, Cam McGusty, and Sabonis tried to play that down.
Gonna do the quad.
Joe
Nah,
Scott.
shut
Sorry, it was
up.
Joe Scott.
Shut up, man. Gonna do the quads. Hate it.
So who's gonna dethrone them in the playoff?
I don't know. I hate it.
We're
I don't want this.
But why? Like people talk about the more like again in my not my time. That sounds like I'm an old guy, but in a few people who follow this league, Newcastle have done it. Chester Jets did it. So why can't another team do it?
I think we've got a good chance to do it. I think
Chester Jets had
No, of
6
course
players.
they can do it.
But I think, personally, I think London are more vulnerable in the stages before the final than they are in
I
the
agree.
final. I think in a one-off game, I think they've got a better shot. If you take them over 2 legs and you're do the prep work and actually work hard, and you're not a horrible mismatch against London, you might be able to pull something off there. Especially if you
Yeah.
got, like, as long as you don't lose drastically at home in your home leg, there's a good shot anything can happen. They've shown they can lose games, and their focus can drop a little bit at times. They're the best team in the league for a reason right now. But I think if you get them in the semi-finals, you've got a good shot of knocking them out. Much better than if you get them in the final, I feel.
But over 2 legs, like, are you going to get enough? That's what I agree
very
with you.
tough.
Because see, if it was a best of kind of thing, you could maybe steal a win and then maybe get a second win.
Yeah.
But I think like this,
They've
got so many options. Like
that's where aggro comes into it. Because if they end up taking even the first leg by like 20 or 25, it's already done.
Yeah.
Like they're the kind of team that if you get both games and they're both tight games, you might be able to just sneak by. But if you suffer a blowout, you're done.
The issue is, like we saw in this game, Sabonis makes adjustments. He made an adjustment at half time.
Yeah.
That completely flipped the game. Over 2 legs, like he's going to have a stretch of time where he's going to just get time to adjust.
I always think one of the best examples of that for the season with London was the first time, Gladiators, but Gladiators, when they played them away that early on, like should have made, they lost by I think 8 in the end.
Oh yeah, the Kevin Allen
game where Kevin Allen somehow dominated London. But then they played at the Emirates. Jesus Christ, we've not been at the Emirates for a long time. But played at place throwback to 2020. Played them at PlaySport the week after, and I think London gubbed them by about 30. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, they made that adjustment because it was that recent memory change that absolutely, I think that was then the week that we weren't very complimentary of Kevin Allen on the Monday, were we, Louis?
Yeah, we're not.
We were not.
But hey,
so I just want to know if we feel like are Manchester that only team that over an aggregate score could take them, or is it going to be like a Cheshire Phoenix, Skylar White type scenario where
Cheshire can. Cheshire have like a 5% chance.
A 5%?
5%
chance? Like, what are you expecting me to say? Like,
50,
I'm not.
50.
I can't.
It's not
I'm not going to say 50-50, am I?
Surely.
10% maybe a stretch, but I don't know. I don't like those odds, man. Like, if I'm betting on that, I'm not doing that. I'm not losing money. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I mean, that's officially like they are the dominant team right now. They're the dominant team.
Odds.
5% odds. Dominant
I'm
team.
fine.
They've got their players all back. Like McGusty's obviously fit. Reynolds is fit. Joe Scott's fit. Ovi's been the lineup. It's not very important minutes at times. But are we going to get to a stage where we need to go?
Sorry for win. Yeah.
What percentage are you giving? Sorry.
You know what? 10%. maybe 15.
Right. All I'm going to say on the Cheshire front is, as long as you don't get blown out in London, anything can happen in Cheshire Road. They could win by 4 goals.
Hell yeah, Mitch.
You never know.
Hell yeah.
With some of the chaos that happened in that venue this season already, just don't get
any season.
Like, just don't lose by massive double digits against London in London. Then Cheshire, you can Scally can drop 10 threes in a game and he'll probably still just get them by for lucky.
Hell
Just
yeah,
for
man.
how chaotic that team is at home. You just don't know what to expect. Cheshire's got a good shot. I think they could pull it off. Manchester have a chance, but with this we'll talk what happened at the end of the game, but there's a lot of tension there now.
I mean,
between
they
those two
have a
teams.
lot of incentive.
Yeah, no, massive. It's a
To,
massive
like-
game. And the thing is, for me, that was one thing I'm like, this is now brewing into an in-season rivalry that's going to be a potential marketing tool for the playoffs if they match up, and potentially if this NBA Europe thing does come down the line, to say there's already a little bit of attention to these two cities already.
Yes.
That's just my thoughts.
Yes. Very good. Do you want me to
Let's go
expand on
talk.
that?
Let's go talk about the end stuff then. Like 7.8 seconds on the clock. London have won the
Oh.
game. McGusty decides to have words with the Manchester bench. They don't agree to it. He gets a tech. It is in bounce back to what Osborne did, but it just. If we'd recorded this 2 hours ago post game, my opinion would have been drastically different. But when you look at this now, this is a really poor look for both teams for the league.
It's fun.
It's fun, and
It's
it gives
good
us
promo.
probably 10 minutes of a conversation. So keep listening, seatbelts on, and see where this goes, because I have no
Yeah.
idea.
Give us
But-
a like.
What?
Give us a like and subscribe.
Like, so,
I'm watching
remember
you.
you can remember you can donate to the show and buy us a coffee. Follow the link on our link tree. Not said that in a few weeks actually, but I think it's a horrendous look. Both teams. There's a wee bit of, I'm seeing a bit of what about today on the socials, being like, oh, it's all cause of this. And yeah, but Osborne should have done that 2 weeks ago. All it's done is incite this going on. But then actually, who's actually set this all off today? Yeah, McGusty did that. But it was Max Jones pushing. Who did he push?
McGusty.
Did he push McGusty or did he push Tariq?
He pushed McGusty.
McGusty did. Tariq ran in.
McGusty was chatting to the bench, and then Max Jones.
And then all of a
Shut
sudden, that's when everyone comes on the court. The referee had already sorted it.
The thing that was interesting.
Referee had teed up McGusty.
Yeah.
Like if you look,
Sorry,
let me finish, Mitch.
go.
When you look at what this can do in a national final, when however few eyes are watching it, it's not a great look. Seeing your two top teams with 7.8 seconds on the clock, handbags at half court, players getting ejected left, right, and centre. Should the benches have known better? Of course they did. Like, should team personnel and well, I thought that actually the referees dealt with it really well, actually. So we'll give them some kudos. It's not something I say very often. But it just felt like that both teams were chatting the whole time, because it's that type of game. It's a final. We both know, Mitch, what Tariq loves to talk. Ovi loves to talk. You can clearly, Gabe Osborne loves to talk. Duke Shelton is the definition of talk. And it was always going to kick off. So why, like, I'm guessing the teams would have talked about it before the game, potentially been like, it's just not a good look. Seeing general managers on the floor is not a good look. Seeing coaches having to hold players back isn't a good look. Seeing a player then throw a ball off a coach isn't a good look. And actually, I know we might have a differing of opinion on this, Louis. I think Manchester not even being out in some regards for the medal ceremony is a really poor look. And yeah, I think there'll be huge repercussions. It's always interesting. I can already see comments coming through on our Instagram feed with the video we've shared of that kind of melee. And it gives us stuff to talk about. And it's amazing how views can differ, and which is really good to see the conversation grow, blah, 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 blah. But I just think it's an awful look. Mitch, I want Mitch go first. Mitch, go.
Louis typing at the bit. He wants to go.
Go, Louis. Go for it.
What?
Okay, firstly, I think it's fun. Look, I'm just going to say it. It's good entertainment. In terms of being
But was the game not
sport.
entertaining enough in terms of seeing London come back? Like, if you talk about the 40 minutes of basketball.
But why not make it more fun? Why not make it more entertaining? Scale it up. Turn it up to 11, you know?
But are we seeing? See when I'm. This is just maybe debate. Are we seeing more I was going to use the term scuffle, but are we seeing more players across basketball? Like feel like I see videos from NBL in Australia where players are constantly throwing arms. There's hands being thrown all the time. You've seen it in the NBA quite a bit recently as well. Like, are we just like? Is that just where we've got to in basketball again? Like, we need some kind of serious repercussions across the basketball sphere to see it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it feels as if like we're seeing a lot of it. Anyway, continually.
Yeah. I really dislike. I've said it on X. I really dislike what McGusty did. I'm gonna say it. I'm sorry, Grant.
No, I agree because he's started this whole thing today.
Like as you've quite rightly said, Manchester and their Osborne's actions last week definitely were a precursor to this. They were the prelude to this big fight happening. I still I'm a long term like football guy. You know, I've been a supporter of underdog teams a good portion of my life, you know, and I appreciate the underdog dynamic. London, resource wise, have about 5 times the spend of Manchester. You know, in terms of class warfare, London are the petty bourgeoisie. Manchester, we're the peasants. We're the proletariat. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't know what term you were going to use. I thought you were going to use, at least you said about football. I thought you were going to hit us with a football terminology there.
No, I'm not. But I just feel like the dynamics. I just don't like it. That's just my long and short of it.
Yeah, and I think my issue with that is they've won the game. They've done their talking second half on the court. McGusty's been incredible. Like, he's had a great second half. We were talking about on air being like, actually, across the game, we felt Joe Scott was the more influential. But we don't get to choose MVP. But that's who we would have chosen. Louis and I agreed with each other. But if McGusty doesn't do that and they win in a good way, no one's talking about this stuff. It's all about the game. And I feel like that's what the league needed, is to be talking about the game and not like, if we talk about the league and where it is at the moment, the league needed the basketball to do the talking. And we've already spent 6 minutes talking about this. Mitch, what's your views?
I'm going to get on my soapbox for this one. This is going to take a while. This is going to be...
I've got the edit button ready.
Good.
Yeah, you might need to edit one first.
Yeah. We're going to have to do more editing than we realise for this, but we'll make it work. First and foremost, it is a damn shame that this is the second final London have been in where an individual's run for a great performance. And the second time it's happened, we're not even focusing on that. There's got a player dropping 30 in a final, which should be a massive factor that we're not talking about that. That's a massive issue. But a couple of things with this. First and foremost, we've already seen tensions rise last week at the London-Manchester game already. So context is there, background is there, and expectation for the final is there, not just on a player and team standpoint, but from a league and officiating standpoint as well. That they should be aware tensions are going to be high, that nipping any sort of back chat in the bud early may have actually made this not happen as much. And we've already mentioned there, we've got a lot of high personality, high character guys on both teams. They're going to be chippy. They're going to be talking crap all game long. That's fine. There's no issue with that as part of the game. It's part of professional basketball is what's happened. I think that we should be lucky that it ended the way it did and not in a worse manner that we have seen in the past as well. Because if we hadn't had all the players come on the bench, and specifically when I identify both coaches were separating the teams, That wasn't the case last time. Last time they were in the thick of it. This time they are keeping them separate. They're trying to push their teams apart. Credit to both the coaches for that.
Which makes me think they've probably pre-warned their teams. Like, let's not get into this. Let's. Do you know what I mean? Like that. To me, that's why I think both coaches have had that discussion.
Yeah, I think they're also a little understanding that they have. It's a high pressure game, but they also are aware of what happened last weekend. They know that it's not worth getting into this. It's not worth that, and as a result, Manchester didn't come out for award ceremonies, which I agree with is a horrendous look, especially in your home city. Like, if you think about that, if that happened, imagine if London had been in the playoff final and those two lost the final and just didn't show up. Just walked off the court, just weren't there. It'd be the exact same thing, if not worse. Because there's a level of sportsmanship and respect that comes into it. If you've got the balls to come back on the court after what happened at the end of that game, where everybody's removed from the bench, still come back on the floor, still kitted up, still being there, and accepting your medals. I understand it's tough. I understand it's not an easy thing to do, especially when the emotions have been that high. But as Grant kind of touched on already, image for the league, that's going to have a massive knock-on effect. The fact that we're talking about a near physical fight at the end of the game, rather than talking about an individually great performance, London coming back from a massive deficit and having a dominant second half in the game. We're not talking about the basketball. It's a real issue that's the case.
Louis, what's your thoughts on Manchester not coming back at the end for? And I fair enough, handshakes didn't happen. Like, you think how close that, but not like for the medal ceremony. To me, that's. What do you think, Louis? I've kind of my view.
I think it sucks for Demi Babalola because he's going to D1 next year or college, whatever, and he's probably not going to get a chance to get like a medal or whatever. So I think it sucks on that end.
Like, he'll probably still get the medal, but that part being part of the presentation,
yeah. But anyway, I mean, obviously, it's not a great look, you know. I mean, I can't really expand on that.
The only benefit that event happened now is that if Manchester and London meet in the playoffs,
well, they play in 2 weeks' time.
That as well. Every time these two teams now meet for the rest of the season, either in the league or in the playoffs, it has that pre-built narrative in. Where if I'm the league, that is a marketing opportunity in itself to massively hop on and use. It's a way to build a story, build a narrative there. Over the years, if the coaches stay, a lot of the team stays, it's a way to build that story up and build that narrative up. You've got the two of the biggest cities in the country going head to head and butting heads in a very visceral way. That's a massive selling point. And coincidentally, also two teams are being eyed for NBA Europe as well, which is a whole other can of worms.
Let's stay away from NBA Europe tonight.
I know, it's just funny that it's
but like you're right though, like they've got a huge opportunity in 2 weeks' time to promote something. I think I've seen someone in Discord, I can't remember, I think it was Ian that said that if Manchester now don't do something to fill out Bellevue for that game, then something's seriously wrong with basketball in Manchester, because that's the game that you've now got to think, you circle in the diary and think, we need a full house here to bring the noise, to put the pressure on Manchester, for Manchester to put the pressure on London, because that's now a huge game, because it just sets that narrative heading into the postseason. Go, Louis.
I mean, your marketing job is practically done for you. All you need to do is just show that video. London versus Manchester, North versus South. Game 5. That's it.
Wasn't that exactly what Cheshire did with London a couple of years ago? The first game of the season they had against London, they massively pushed that game, and all they did was use footage of the final of the games prior from the season before. Is that
they pushed the fact that Ovi Sokol was coming to town and got massive backfire for that. Unless it was the season after
that. But what they've done.
Ovi didn't even play that game, did he?
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't. Don't even showed up. But it's
Love Island star Obi Soko. Sorry.
But yeah, like you've now got a game in 2 weeks' time that has a really big potential to kind of give the league some sort of narrative into the postseason. You'd assume if Manchester win that, you would give them the advantage being second place, which then obviously makes you think, well, top two potentially at the O2 could be London and Manchester. Obviously, teams like Cheshire, Sheffield, Bristol, Surrey, Newcastle, Leicester will scrape into 8th place now. Won't do much else. Like it does very much feel like it's the other teams, and if we're wrong, we're wrong. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. So well done, London. Deserved to win the game with that second half performance. McGusty with that brilliant stat line as well. To round a few things off, some housekeeping. Lions were obviously pushed midweek. Well, this is a quite to ask. Do you think London playing midweek against Surrey and going to overtime was part of the reason for their sluggish start?
Not if they've rescheduled the game and said it's for their recovery purposes. They don't have an excuse.
They don't have an excuse, and they didn't have to play their main guys. Yeah, they didn't have to short their rotation.
They could have played the big signing of Jordan Williams.
I mean, if you're going to sign Jordan Williams, why not play him? That's why you brought him in.
Yeah, like fair. Okay, fair. Because Surrey tested them. Surrey tested them all the way through, and genuinely, probably in regular time, should have taken a W.
They took the mickey. They found out. That's what I'm going to say.
Other game, again, only other game this week was the Gladiators at Riders. Double overtime. Okay, there's a bit of contention and some refereeing calls down the end that maybe you can't see that clearly on the broadcast because it happened so fast. But when we look at Leicester, obviously, Raekwon battles off to Italy. I'll wait till Louis finishes yawn before I say, Louis, what do you make of that move?
I think it's crazy. I think it's really good. I think it's a great stepping stone. Well, it's a great move from this league and it shows how much the league is advancing.
And does it, well, you said in the second battle arrived here, you were surprised to see him play in the SLB, and he obviously maybe offers didn't come or whatever else, and he ended up here. Is this just him maybe finding that this move is his level?
I mean, we'll have to see whether he can actually play at that level, but it's what you would expect in terms of his career trajectory, yeah.
And when we look at, obviously, Leicester now down players, we believe that they've got, I don't know, another couple of weeks or another 10 days probably where they can sign players, or a week and a half, whatever you want to call it. If they're able to, they need something, don't they? Because they're and we talked about Leicester a couple of weeks ago, looking like they were maybe on the team and not up. Obviously, this administrative issues with visas and whatnot isn't going to be very good for them. And Coach Rob's obviously going to be frustrated by that. Mitch, what's your views?
Yeah, I mean, Leicester are going to be scrambling to try and either get their players back in the country or try and find replacements in the space of a week. And, I mean, you may find somebody, but usually if people are available in March, there's usually a reason why they're available in March. But
it's never someone that you think you're going to build your next team around that season, is it? Like, it's not going to be someone you think, you know what, we're going to keep them in August.
Not very often, but I mean, we've seen like Leicester are capable. They just need their import guys just to fill out that roster a bit more. To rely on your young Brits or your guys stepping up on the level below to really represent it is tough to really think.
But hey, Victor Nduka is getting double-figure points, playing big minutes, and I suppose look at Louis. Louis just picked up. Look at his eyes. He got happy hearing that.
Licking his lips at that.
Yeah.
Don't you know what he said? Big up, Vic.
But on that,
oh God,
you know, God. Whenever I speak up, always make a good point, Mitch.
Sunday Louis is a different animal, isn't he, Mitch? A Sunday Louis is different.
I'm a menace tonight.
Anyway.
Okay. What I was going to say was they've got Flynn, Bourne, and Rafe to come back, and I think he's actually shown some very good things when granted a larger role. So in terms of offsetting the loss of Don Carew, maybe offsetting Raekwon Battle might be a little bit less difficult. Obviously,
Yeah, they've definitely felt the impact of him missing more than what I think a lot of people would have appreciated.
Yeah, I feel
Definitely
like
agree with that.
I feel like the biggest miss will be Don Carey, just how much he helped them at the point guard spot, and obviously, you know, Travis Evans is a different kind of kettle of fish. They need to get a stretch for, they need someone to replace McGusty, because at the moment, Vic and Dooku is admirably, filling in, but you can't have a rotation of Vic and Dooku, Tommy with Superman, and no one else. You need someone to stretch the floor at that spot. You can't only have Vic able to really shoot at the 4 on the 3 spot, other than Spencer Johnson moving up or whatever.
And he's having to have worldies every game just to keep them in it.
Yeah, he's practically speaking having to fill that Raycon battle role. So have to wait and see what they do. Be very fun.
Have to wait and see. So that'll do for this episode. Our cup final kind of instant reactions, probably is disorganized more than anything else. Hopefully it's a good listen. Hopefully everyone enjoyed the final. If you want, get involved in the conversation. Obviously we've shared the kind of the handbags at half court on our Instagram, so give a look at that. But get involved in the conversation. Hopefully everyone enjoyed the game for what it was. We'll be back next week with another episode of the SLB Show. My thanks to the two guys. And yeah, we'll be back next week.